Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Vulgar Observer. I'm your host, Leo, aka Sidewinder 037. Find me on PSN. To my left, I have.
Yeah, this is Joey, aka Skeet Genius, aka Skeety G. Skeet knowledge all over that ass.
And then to his left.
Yeah, the one and only Juan Ariola, also known as Johnny B. Bad. Homies.
Nice. And then
I am
last
Brian, also known as DJ Dick Drip, also known as Praying Man Tits.
Nice. Now that everyone knows each other.
No, I think I got a funnier one now.
Yours
Yours are better. Hold on.
Wait, start over.
Well, wait,
Johnny sucks dick. No.
Oh wait, we're making like
it's-
vulgar ones. Oh yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
hence the
There
name.
you
Yeah.
go.
All right, so welcome to our show where we're going to talk about nerd stuff, pretty much. Nerd stuff, geek stuff, toys, games, movies, comic books. Who else? What else? Whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
Basically, the stuff that no other podcast is talking
This was
about.
a Shakespeare Club. I read Romeo and Juliet on the way here. Jesus Christ.
Making sure we're touching unique topics that no other
Yeah.
other podcast is.
I mean, from my research, this is the only podcast that talks about those things. So.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So, well, with that, let's talk about our first topic, something that no one is talking about, but I think it's important. James Gunn getting fired from. He was fired from Guardians of the Galaxy. Disney fired him for some old tweets that he tweeted out.
Official today, apparently.
So then Marvel wanted him back. The cast wanted him back, but I guess Disney said they didn't want, or said no, that he's not coming back. So.
Yeah, from what things kind of shook out, or like what was shaking down, basically, it seemed like Feige was pushing for it. So Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel as far as the cinematic universe, he's the one pushing for Gunn to come back. Obviously, there was a big petition written up by the rest of the cast. Obviously, everybody kind of pushing behind him. So a lot of fan support behind James Gunn in general, but Disney sticking by their decision, which isn't a huge surprise in my opinion, or at least just in my perspective. When Disney tends to make a decision, they usually really don't go back on it. So that's what ended up happening. But Alan Horn and Bob Iger just said no, he's gone. So
Yeah.
That's
out of
that.
all the shitty things that Disney has done over their history, it's kind of sad. I'm trying to pull up the tweets just so we know exactly what he said.
Yeah. So,
To quote the great Michael Scott, there's no such thing as an appropriate joke because it's a joke.
it's true. I agree with that. I mean, James Gunn, he put out those tweets when he was younger. He was a trauma director. So, those guys are edgy, still are,
Right.
always have been, so you kind of expect that kind of stuff from them, to be politically incorrect or, just vulgar in general. But I think, the most messed up thing about it is that it's obviously a political move from someone who will not be named because I quite frankly don't like this person. But it happened. So
Yeah, and the other thing, the same guy that started outing him for the tweets that he said went after Dan Harmon like a week later, and Adult Swim stepped up and said, creators create, even like we encourage people to push boundaries. This definitely crossed the line, but we stand by Dan Harmon, who creates Rick and Morty. Just found one of them here, and it is tough to read.
It's racy. You could say that it's definitely racy.
has it's
Yeah, so we can just kind of read it off.
I
I didn't say this. Brian said it. The best thing about being raped is when you're done being raped and it's like, phew, this feels great. Not being raped! Exclamation point.
yeah.
Stuff like that. That doesn't
Yeah.
really vibe with the whole
The biggest problem
Pocahontas.
is he apologized
Disney
for it
Princess
before he
vibe.
took the job. It was agreed upon. It was in the past. For some reason, he never deleted his tweets.
Right.
And this right-wing crazy, what is it, QAnon or whatever that's big right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Dug it back up and
Right.
got him canned. 'cause
Always
of the
delete your
backlash.
browser history, kids.
Yeah.
Where you going? Incognito mode. That's the best way to do it.
No, yeah. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. Obviously, you know, the whole cast was like, you know, they didn't want him to go. You know, I mean, honestly, like out of all the Marvel movies that have been made in this recent era of 10 years, I thought, knowing nothing of Guardians of the Galaxy going in, I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of what you thought of like the second part, but it's definitely one of the better ones out of the.
And it also comes on he just turned in the script for number 3.
Right.
They fire him. Disney is still going to use his script.
Yeah, so
convenient.
yeah.
No matter what, it's still his work. He's just not curating the vision.
Right, he's not involved in it. I mean, what remains to kind of be seen now is how the cast is going to react to this overall, especially when filming starts and when a new director gets selected. And I mean, the one who's been most ardent about it has been Batista. So John, you know, he has been very, very vocal about his displeasure and been very supportive of James Gunn, and has outright said that if he's not directing the next one, then I want my contract terminated, and I'm not going to move forward with another one. So that's kind of where this could possibly be heading. You know, that remains to be seen. There's a lot of time before filming starts. I don't remember when filming is going to start for the third one, but
It was supposed to be soon because it's the second movie in Phase 4 or whatever they're going to call it.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate situation.
Yeah.
But you know,
DC will hire him quickly.
yeah, that's an interesting thing
I
too.
mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think they probably will.
It's not
darker.
only like DC too. I mean, they're talking like a lot of movie studios are really.
It's because he's
kind
so
of
dark and edgy.
Exactly.
Like
I mean,
DC extended, whatever it's called.
but obviously a lot of other movie studios are looking into helm some possibly helm some major franchises. So there's you know, not renewed interest. There's just open interest in a guy who is now out of a contract and has shown that he can take on a big franchise and with relatively unknown characters and make them very
Likeable.
beloved. Yeah, and make a big deal out of it. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's everything for Hollywood now is to find the hot new director. You
Right.
know, like Hollywood is all about having the essentially like the auteur,
Sure.
right? You
Yeah.
know, and you know, James Gunn's a talented guy. He's, you know, smart, knows how to work with actors, all that stuff. You know, so I'm sure somebody will pick him up. Definitely, Warner Brothers, DC could totally use someone like him.
Yeah,
You know, who has
absolutely.
who could have a clear vision and all that. You know, so
Booster Gold.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they need, just kind of going off of that aspect of it, is like DC desperately needs a director that will take them into space. They have yet to really delve into space, so you've got to bridge that gap between what's happening on Earth and Darkseid, because we have yet to even see Darkseid. So there's got to be somebody that bridges it. If it is Green Lantern Corps, maybe this is the guy to do it with a script from Jeff Johns, who
With
is
Tom
writing the
Cruise.
script.
Yeah.
And
Tom Cruise.
There's a whole nother aspect of we won't even open that can of worms.
I got the right.
I was like,
It's gonna be
yeah,
the whole movie
it'll
the
be
whole entire time.
it'll be interesting to see if he does do a DC property. I want him to do something in space. I want him to do I mean, he's proven he could do it again with unknown characters that people had no idea who they were, and did a really good job, and it was a lot of fun, and the story was good, and the character development was really good,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the action was great.
Yeah. I think it'd be good. I think it's interesting that with movies in general, like you have to even say that, like, oh, we have to introduce space. You know what I mean? When it's like a comic book or video game or something, it's like, oh yeah, we're going into space now.
Right.
You know, so I don't know. I
Yeah.
just think that's interesting.
You know, it's like a different mindset from people who are into that stuff, and then the casual observer too,
Yeah.
because that's such a departure from what people are
Yeah.
normally used to.
Yeah.
But everybody's different.
I think that's a good topic for another show. Is like, you know, casual audience compared to like a hardcore audience. You
Yeah.
know, like that definitely comes up in like a Star Wars conversation or whatever. You know, even now, like we'll talk about later, like Star Trek or something. You know, like you have to kind of balance it too. You know, you have to like have a show or have a movie or show, you know, that appeals to a wider audience, you know, and appeals to you know, the casual observer.
No.
Not the vulgar observer, but the casual observer. Just because, you know, like you want to try and maximize the most money you can. You know, you don't want to just please the fans. I mean, yes, there are aspects of it, but just the way the business works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, is there anything more to say on kind of James Gunn? Like, what are you, rest of you guys? Juan, Brian, like, what do you guys feel about it? Does anybody here kind of oppose the decision or specifically support the decision?
I support
way?
James Gunn. I think it was unfair, but I was gonna pull up a picture of him on a Segway, so we could segue into our next topic.
It's for the when we get sponsored and we get cameras in here.
Yeah. So next topic. Coincidentally, it's about Disney as well. Fox, or Disney, is closer to acquiring Fox and their movie properties, or like their creative properties.
It's all over the
century.
board. Yeah.
Yeah, 20th Century Fox, which includes
Simpsons.
You're talking everything on FX. This is it's huge. It's very, very wide open.
Yeah, and in the thumbnails that we're looking at on the browser, I mean, the Alien franchise, Predator, Deadpool, X-Men, all that stuff. Yeah. Kingsman, you had mentioned earlier.
Yeah, there's a possibility for an extended franchise there. I mean, the other one too that they're already investing money in, at least with the parks, is Avatar.
Oh yeah.
I don't know where the excitement is for it. I can't say that I'm particularly excited or give a shit about Avatar, but somebody is, and I guess they all live in China.
Is that why the sequels are on hold now?
I don't know. I don't know because I don't care and I don't read into it.
I don't understand that Pocahontas movie at all.
But yeah, you know, I think it's an interesting topic. You know, like again, like it's more media consolidation, but beyond that, it's kind of exciting. You know, to have the Marvel franchise kind of getting closer together as being in one house, essentially. You know, I think that's really cool. Full disclosure, you know, like I like the X-Men movies, but I think they could be way better, and they haven't been, which is unfortunate.
As a fanboy, it's awesome because you're going to be able to put everyone in the same movie.
Sure.
It's Fantastic Four, X-Men, Spider-Man now that they split the rights with Sony. And, you know, Captain America will be with Wolverine and The Thing. It seems like it's going to be awesome for that, but if you look at it in a whole for the industry, Leo, you'll know more than I, but it's going to be a Disney movie every single weekend. Like, it's a monopoly now.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
It is. I mean, it really is. That's what I mean.
It's getting closer to that. Yeah.
It's problematic because it is a monopoly, and you know, but yeah, it's definitely as a fan, I think it's exciting, you know, and I don't know. What do you think, Juan?
Excited but worried of oversaturation of superhero movies.
Yeah, but you already get 3 MCU movies, 2 DC movies, an X-Men movie, or a Deadpool
it's
movie.
The same thing.
But it's
evil doppelganger. That's all it is.
But you're saying it's different because it was by different studios.
Yeah.
But it'll be redundant after a while.
But does this
Hulk
also
versus Wolverine 3? Like, oh.
But can this also bring out the best in some of these properties too? Because I mean, everybody think back. I don't know how long ago was that merger between Disney and Marvel, and what was the big fear? That Marvel movies were going to be made for kids now, and that they were going to suck, and all that was being built up was going to be torn down. And then Disney comes out and says, no, we're just acquiring the rights. We want to buy them out. We want the money. Everything is still going to happen. And not only is everything still going to happen, but we're going to throw more resources than they've ever had before. And now we've coming off a summer where we just saw the biggest movie in the history, the biggest single film in the history of film. That happens.
Avatar 2, yeah.
That happened. I was talking about The Incredibles too. That happens because of Disney. Does that happen without Disney? I don't know. I don't know if it does. So
Yeah.
to Juan's point, yeah, there are things to be very concerned about for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't think it's that crazy to think about this right now, but like, could we be talking about in 10, 15, maybe less years about talks between Disney and Warner Brothers to acquire DC? Is that crazy to think? Like, it sounds
Yeah.
crazy, right?
No.
But 10 years ago, would it have been crazy to be like, watch, Disney is going to buy Marvel? Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't crazy that they bought Star Wars. They've always had that relationship.
Right.
You know, they've had a friendly relationship with Star Wars, and Lucas has always been involved with Disney for so long. But the Marvel thing, you know, came out of quote-unquote nowhere kind of thing.
Mhm.
But it still happened. But before that, it was crazy talk. Now it's not crazy talk. I don't think so, anyway.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's true. Yeah. And just to lightly touch on what we were talking about earlier about like wrestling is a good example of that. You know, like Vince McMahon went out and bought everything essentially, every single like wrestling property you can think of. Now, like it's so consolidated that a lot of people dropped off and they don't care about it anymore.
Mhm.
You know, like, but you know, still have a lot of fans. People still like it. You know, whatever. But you don't have like that competition.
Yeah.
You know, so
Could you imagine the Arkham Tower of Terror ride at Disney World?
that'd be great. That'd be amazing.
good.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think there's good and bad things about it, you know. And you know, I'm kind of on the fence or in the middle of it, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
just because I think it's good as a fan. You get to see all these cool things, but you know, it could be oversaturation. But you could say that already about you know maybe other properties that are out there, but.
It's a little
To me, more is better.
it's a little scary, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's exciting. Oh, first and foremost, I think for all of us, it's pretty exciting, right? Like, this is pretty cool. Like, not only is it going to bring in all of the MCU, but, like, what it does for, like, the other one that people kind of look over, not a ton of people, but most people look over, I would say, is the Star Wars aspect of it, too. It's like
Yeah.
bringing... A lot of people are kind of forgetting about it because the MCU thing is so big, and rightfully so, because it's a huge part of this merger. But you're talking about reclaiming all of the home video rights for the original trilogy, which they don't have right now. As much power as Disney has, 20th Century Fox. If there was a DVD or Blu-ray of the original trilogy right now, Disney could never release it. They only 20th Century Fox could. That's why you can't buy the original trilogy on Blu-ray or even the prequel trilogy anywhere in a store because 20th Century Fox owns those rights.
You mean like, well, the theatrical version,
Right,
The,
the theatrical
original
version.
theatrical,
Yes.
yeah, because you could buy it on Blu-ray, but yeah, it's the special.
No,
editions,
but that's
yeah.
a 20th Century Fox release. Those Blu-rays are 20th
Right,
Century
right,
Fox.
right,
Yeah.
The one with the Ewoks dancing?
I mean, they own the original. Yeah, it's along with the special edition. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty cool. Like,
Yeah.
that's pretty big.
So if they, so the deal's not done, but if it does, when and if it does, which of the Fox properties, like what would you be excited about? Like Brian, what would you be excited about? Like,
Just Wolverine being a part
Yeah,
of
that's what I was gonna say.
Captain America and Spider-Man. Like, I've always had something in my head of seeing one of my favorite Deadpool comics, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is Deadpool, Captain America, and Wolverine. The three super soldiers that have been made from going around, and Captain America's the good, the bad is Wolverine, and the ugly is Deadpool because he has no limits, Wolverine's in between. Just seeing that, like an adaptation, would be amazing.
yeah,
With the ability that you could get it live action is even better.
yeah, I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I joked, but Wolverine the Hulk would be fun to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
At least the first one. After that,
part 3. Yeah,
part 3.
Oh,
not
why
this
am I
year.
drawing a blank? Who was the Hulk in
Or-
the first one?
Eric Bana.
Eric Bana. Yeah.
No, next one.
Edward Norton.
Yeah,
Edward Norton. Yeah, if you could get Edward Norton's Hulk and Hugh Jackman on the same screen, I'd be happy.
yeah, Joey.
Yeah, for me, it's still as excited as I am for the Star Wars stuff. It's still the MCU crossover. So bringing mutants into the MCU
Yeah.
is it's I think especially with the timing of it right now, with the end of this era, it's a good time to introduce a new line of heroes.
It also makes you think it was all part of the plan.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't come out of nowhere, right? They've been talking to 20th Century Fox for who knows how many years. Like this is not like these things just don't happen in a vacuum. They didn't just decide one day like, yeah, we're gonna buy these guys, and then like after 6 months of talking, no, they've been talking to 20th Century Fox for the last several years about this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, these deals don't happen within a year or two. This is
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
you
it was the same thing with Star Wars. I mean, Lucas and Iger had gone back for several years, back and forth and back and forth, and finally George was like, you know what, I want to make more movies, but I think people are gonna hate them.
Yeah.
And like he said it in a recent interviews too, like with James Cameron, I think, talking about it. He's like,
Yeah.
I have these ideas and this is where I want the story to go, and it was going to be it was different, and you know, he brought up midichlorians were going to be a big part of of the final 3 movies, and he's like, you know, but my fear was I was going to put them out and people were just not going to like them, like because I did it and people really didn't want them, and I didn't want to go through that again, but I knew more stories were going to be told, and I passed it along to, you know, to a company that I could trust, kind of thing. So I kind of hope the same thing happens here with the X-Men going into the MCU. To your point, Leo, like what you were talking about, the X-Men movies have been fun to watch as Fox properties. Some of them have been great. X2 is a prime example of an incredible X-Men movie, and one of my favorite superhero movies of all time.
Yeah,
I really love First Class as well, and then I
that's a good
really
one.
love Days of Futures Past
Yeah.
as well.
Those are good. Yeah.
Logan is incredible.
Yeah,
Like,
Logan
Logan
is
is an amazing
amazing,
film. But the other ones are still kind of underperforming, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have a ton of potential with that universe, with the mutant universe, and I think if it goes to Disney, I don't think it hurts them. I think it only helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then for me, yeah, definitely, you know, X-Men stuff. Growing up, that was always my favorite. TV shows, the toys and stuff, video games, all that stuff. So I think X-Men would be awesome, you know, to see like a Avengers style movie. Like watching Avengers for the first time, I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm watching this. This is amazing. Like this is just amazing. Like that I am alive to see this, you know. So seeing like an X-Men movie like that, like where it's like good action, you know, like a good story or a decent story, whatever, good effects, you know. I always felt like, especially when the first X-Men came out, it was, I don't want to say it was hokey, but like the effects weren't where they're at now, you know what I'm saying? You know, so
That's what I was going to say. I was
2000.
like 9, 10,
Yeah.
11
Yeah,
years
yeah.
old when they first came out.
The summer
and I
of
thought
2000.
it was amazing. And
Yeah.
now I've rewatched it. I was like, man, this is
Yeah, it's-
not fun.
It
I
was
rewatched the
dated.
Avengers movie. I'm like, oh, this is still fun.
It's just funny to think of how skinny Hugh Jackman used to be. We're like, and even back then, you're like, oh, Wolverine's huge. He's never that big in the comics. Like, he's so big. Yeah, it's skinny.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think yeah, so I think it's, and you know, like then they have like the R-rated, you know, properties too,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Kingsman and Alien. Like I feel like Alien, like I don't know, we talked about this at lunch
Yeah.
one time. Like Alien is just like a wasted property at this point.
Yeah.
I feel like it. You know?
And I think there are some of those properties that need to go away for a while, and I think Alien is one of them.
Yeah.
I honestly think Predator is still one of them too. I'm not particularly excited about a new Predator movie. I also am not much of a fan of Shane Black because I hate what he did with Iron Man. But I think that's part of it too, is that I hope we'll see, because now here's the case of, like, you know, Disney buying these properties, and are they going to do the same thing that they're doing kind of with Star Wars, and like, all right, let's get ready to, like, you know, rub our hands together and let's pump these motherfuckers out, like let's make some fucking money. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out later. Just get them out there. You know, that's the other worry.
How much of it will they? I mean, this is something that we'll find out later. But like, are they going to keep the 21st century, and they'll be able to do their Deadpool's, their
Oh, yeah.
Alien,
Yeah.
because it's all under that umbrella.
Right.
But it can't be affiliated with Disney
So-
because it's pushing too far for the family values.
My understanding was that is going to be the case. That, like, even like something like the Marvel net, like, this is just an analogy, but so we won't go too much into it. We want to go too much of a tangent, but like the approach that they're taking with like the streaming service, with the new Disney streaming service, on a call with Bob Iger to shareholders, somebody asked that question, like, what's going to happen with the Marvel Netflix shows? He's like, they're going to stay on Netflix. They're not moving to the streaming service because they serve a different audience.
Right.
So I don't think they're not stupid. Like, they know what audiences they have to hit, and if certain things need to stay in certain buckets, they're gonna leave them there. Like those R-rated properties, yeah.
Because I can't help but think about, what are the Simpsons going to do? What are the, what are these
Venom
random Fox products?
What's gonna happen to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
And the
Well,
last
Venom was
man
having
standing.
trouble though rating their movie. They want to do rated R, but they might do PG-13 now.
That's because they
Just
think they're
because.
going to get bought by MCU, and Venom will be a part of it.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
So they're not going rated R.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. It's not done. So we'll.
And I think the discussion of this will go on long after the purchase is made, and long after the merger is made.
Can Michael B. Jordan be Killmonger and the Human Torch? Is that his character?
Yeah.
Well, if they
Sure.
reboot it, Jon Snow has to be Wolverine. That's my pick.
That's a good choice,
Oh,
actually.
Jon-
I like
Jon
that
Jon
choice.
Snow.
Snow,
Jon Snow. Oh.
the King of the North.
I don't like that.
That's
I don't
not a
hate
bad
that.
choice.
I don't hate that. I like that, actually.
He just can't have sex with his aunt. Wolverine's
Decisions.
I don't even remember his name, but
He's gonna have to bulk
Kit
up. man.
Harington.
Kid Harington.
He's gonna have to bulk up.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like kind of scrawny.
Once he
Short.
takes, once he,
Oh, look at this. Yeah.
once he takes that wolf fur off, he's skinny as hell.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally is. Cool. Yeah, man. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's fun to like talk about it and see like what could happen, and a couple years down the line when it happens, they start making the movies, then we'll see. We can go back and listen to this again. Be like, oh man, we were totally off.
Listen to how naive they were in their first show.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, and then all these perfect segues. So going into, I guess another movie-related topic. It's our movie show. Summer fun, summer movies, or summer anything really, like TV shows or whatever, things that you guys watched that you thought were worthy of talking about.
Yeah, I guess. I guess we can make this kind of pretty broad, just like
Yeah.
how we received everything that came out this summer in general.
I mean, there was 3 weeks in a row where it was just boom, boom, boom.
It was nuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy movie after crazy movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, it was crazy.
Um,
Go ahead.
No, I mean, I'll be honest. I'm going to let you guys kind of go with this. I only saw 2 movies this summer,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
my work schedule is pretty grueling, so it's
Cry
kind
me a
of...
river.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, I mean, obviously for me, the biggest movie I saw was Infinity War, which was freaking amazing.
That's on everyone else's list, too.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it was 17 movies of hard work and loosely connected movies in between
Yeah.
into one big bad taking over and getting the job done.
Really enjoyed watching my niece in her dance recital this summer. She had a little Cinco de Mayo.
I was just
that
gonna
on
say the
Netflix?
same thing.
It was on Netflix.
Was it say
Nah.
the same thing?
Obviously, Avengers,
Yeah.
which was good, but pretty upsetting at the end. Hearing the novice fans crying, like, Spider-Man. What are you talking? Old lady in front of us. Remember that?
You just have to tell them that, don't worry, Tobey Maguire's okay. He's gonna come
Andrew
back.
Garfield, man.
Yeah. That was true, yeah. Like, people were crying and stuff, and it's like, I'm pretty sure he's going to come back. I
Yeah.
mean...
I'm sitting there. He'll be back. These guys didn't read the comics.
Don't shame me because I shed a tear for Spider-Man. 'cause
One of the-
I definitely shed some tears for Spider-Man.
The worst part about the summer was I saw Infinity War, had my moment with it, got over it, went and saw Ant-Man. And if you haven't seen it yet, the end credit scene is a spoiler
Okay.
because it ties straight back in to Infinity War. and it makes it feel that same gut punch that you got with watching Black Panther and Spider-Man and Star-Lord disappear.
Okay, cool. I'm glad glad you didn't give away the the
Yeah.
ending there.
I didn't say what happened.
Yeah.
I just said it reminded you.
Yeah, yeah. What was
It's a lot
your
to digest.
just on Infinity War again? Like, what was your favorite? Not part, but like for example, for me, it was awesome. I'm not a huge Doctor Strange fan, but since the movie and like Infinity War, like kind of like him a little bit more. Like, not necessarily reading the comics yet, but I just thought like his effects were awesome.
I
Like,
think
amazing.
I think they did. There were two of the heroes that they finally did justice in terms of their powers. And as far as from my perspective, one being Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I feel we finally get to really see. His standalone movie is exactly that. It's a standalone movie introducing the character. He spends the majority of the movie trying to learn spells and trying to figure this thing out and try to And then by the end of it, he is the master of the mystic arts. But we don't really get to see him do too much, except for what he ends up doing to what was the villain? Dormammu?
Yeah, Dormammu was
yeah.
the villain, but yeah,
When he kept doing that infinity, like going infinity, and like, all right, that now
Yeah.
he's a badass. Like he figured it out, and he's a super badass. But like this one, it was pretty consistent. Like there were, I mean, up until towards the end, that last fight with Thanos, like he was really owning, and he was holding his own, and he did really well against what's it, Ebony Maw and stuff like that, against really powerful characters. He really showed off his power. And then the other one that I think they finally did justice, and it was about fucking time, was Scarlet Witch. Because you knew she had that kind of power in her, and she was the only one holding herself back. And so now when everything is at stake, she finally is unleashing it. And then, Okoye has the best line of all when she kills that whole horde of monsters, and she's like, why the fuck was she all the way up there?
yeah.
Like, yeah, for 3 movies she was all the way up there. Now you brought her out.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think.
No, and I think Doctor Strange has been better in Thor Ragnarok. Like, even though it was a quick, but it seems like he's figured out. They figured out what they want to do with him, so that made it better because he made Thor and Loki look like jokes.
Right, yeah.
And then in Infinity War, he was pretty much unstoppable.
I mean, yeah, he's great. I think that's as far as like my favorite aspect of that entire film. As great as it was to see everything happening in that huge battle in Wakanda, I also there were 2 things that stood out to me that maybe didn't maybe necessarily stand out for other people. One being the arrival of Thanos and like the way they actually humanize and almost legitimize his approach to what he's doing.
Yeah.
So that is where the gut punch really is for me. That's what makes everything else so much more emotional and so much more powerful.
Yeah.
It's like his aspect of where, this guy who's been lurking in the shadows, who we've always known as this big bad villain, but is he really a villain? And this kind of paints it in a way that the things are murky. Like every villain is the hero of their own kind of story, but really, like nobody embodies that as well as Thanos. Like he is doing this for everybody else because no one can.
Right.
Like that is my thing, right? Which is like a total like Hitler mentality, right?
Yeah.
Like I have to do
Yeah.
this. I am the only one strong enough to kill all these people. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And nobody's gonna stop me, kind of thing. So the way they go about it, and like his relationship with Gamora, and them really, they really threw a lot at us in one movie, and created a really dynamic villain, who is with a franchise that is notorious for having kind of weak villains.
Yeah.
Up until you get to like Killmonger, who's great.
Yeah.
And then Thor and Thanos is like Killmonger on steroids because he has the same kind of approach. All these people that did me wrong, I want to do right by the people that were wronged. They have that similar approach, except Thanos does it on a galactic level.
Yeah.
He's a little bit different. So that aspect of it was huge for me, and I really, really like the way that they crafted that part of the story.
Yeah.
The other thing for me is, you guys will probably laugh or not even have noticed it, but this is far and away, and I've been very critical of this with almost every other Marvel movie, is that this is easily the best score they've ever had in a Marvel film. The score was great. This is like, you're talking like almost what the hell's his name?
I was just gonna
Hans
look it up
Zimmer?
right now.
John Williams.
John Carpenter.
You're talking like John Williams level kind of work that they did here. I mean, if you rewatch that movie,
The guy did
and the
Toy Story?
the moments, the moments that really, the moments that really needed that emotional punch to everything, like they were there, and it was there because of the music was hitting at the right notes. And I feel like
Yeah.
in a lot of other Marvel movies, it was just generic space music or superhero music and not a lot of personality behind it. But
Yeah.
like the Avengers theme, like think about it, in the two big superhero like reveal moments, which were Captain America and Thor, the things that I think really helped people get to that like fuck yeah moment and like start clapping in the theater when they showed up was the Avengers theme hit every time when they revealed themselves. So like when Captain America stands out of the darkness, it's not, well, that one technically wasn't the Avengers theme, it was Captain America's theme. So like we know who it is because we're hardcores, but everybody else in the movie theater didn't know who that was. They
Yeah.
just saw like, oh, who's that guy that caught the spear? And then you hear the music and then he pops out and people are clapping.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like that is a good example of just like how good that score was. Like when those moments hit, that music just embellished it and made it bigger and made it more exciting.
Yeah, it
So
was-
there was big takeaways for me.
Yeah. Alan Silvestri is the
Yeah.
composer
hmm
who's done a lot.
Yeah, he's done a lot of it in Marvel for sure. Like him
Yeah.
and Giacchino have done a lot of Marvel movies, and this one is, and I really like Giacchino, but this is far and away the best score they've ever had in any of those movies.
Oh,
I thought
yeah.
you were gonna click on the Castaway playlist there.
Oh yeah. Now, I mean, he did. I mean, I should know this. We should know this, but he did Back to the Future, Forrest Gump,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Castaway, Predator. Interesting.
Did he do Rambo?
I don't know.
Martin.
What
Marlon
else?
Brando?
Yeah. But yeah, so Juan, what was your Infinity War specifically? Or you can go on to the next movie, whatever.
Well, I'll flip it. My biggest disappointment of the summer.
Uh-oh. I know what he's going to say.
You know,
Go ahead.
Joey's clutching his fist
No.
solo.
No, I agree. I agree.
I don't understand how you're going back in time, but yet Han Solo looks like shit as a younger person when Han Solo looks way better than him when he's older.
Well, to be
That's
fair,
one part, but I mean, the
Harrison Ford
story
is
was
a
just,
handsome man.
Yeah.
like he's balding, and Harrison
He's
Ford's not balding. Alright. But I do think Donald Glover was the best part. He was pretty sick,
Yeah.
pretty good,
Yeah.
pretty smooth.
Yeah.
I didn't hate
Didn't hate
Solo,
it, but I was
though.
just
It's just,
disappointed.
I think,
Disappointed,
I
yeah.
think to Juan's point, I think you're talking
I was
just
hoping
overall,
for like a Guardians of the Galaxy type movie.
right? Yeah, just the overall kind of
But
feel
it was
of
just
it,
a little
right?
choppy, a little back and forth, trying to get too serious.
It
I was
wa- it
hoping it'd
wasn't
be
like
more
as-
funnier.
As epic as you thought it would
Yeah.
be, kind of thing. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I think for me, it's a similar aspect of it too. I still think it was good. I think Brian, you thought it was good.
I went in. What was the other movie that I did that to? Oh, Justice League.
Yeah.
I went in expecting to hate it.
Yeah.
Like not having.
But you did hate Justice League.
No.
He liked Justice
I'll
League. He hated
defend it.
Batman vs Superman.
No, Batman vs Superman. I thought Justice League was crap, but I went in expecting to like really hate it, and I walked out of there. I was like, "This is unfair because everyone said it's bad, so it's got the connotation
Yeah.
of just shit rolling down a hill."
Yeah.
But it wasn't awful. I would not pay money to watch it again, but I would watch it on TBS or whatever channel plays movies all the time, FX Now or
Yeah.
something.
w- Not like Netflix, but like a channel that has commercials.
Yeah, and then follow that up with Pacific Rim.
Pacific, yeah,
I know how to get you fired up over there.
No,
Pacific Rim.
trust me. The second Pacific Rim movie is definitely a Netflix movie.
Oh, really?
It's absolutely a Netflix
that's-
movie.
that's
It's
disappointing.
fun, but that's it. That's it. Like
Yeah.
Netflix or Redbox? Should I spend $1 on it?
Redbox exclusive.
No,
Take that.
Yeah.
Netflix.
It's for free on RedTube. You just gotta know how to look for it.
On Crunchyroll right now.
Yeah. So if you rented on Redbox and you went past the day, you'd be pissed.
There you go. Yeah. But
Should have bought Twix with that $1.
like I guess we now we can kind of segue a little bit to Solo too. That to Brian's point, I kind of left in a similar reaction. I wasn't particularly excited about this movie, and then I saw the second trailer, and that got me back into it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I think I'm ready for this, even though it's been 6 months since I just saw last Star Wars movie, and I love The Last Jedi, but I don't know what this movie is just yet, and still it's concerning, and it had a lot of negative stuff going into it. It had everything against it going into it.
Oh yeah, I mean the whole director thing. And,
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy.
Everything
There's a
about
ton
the
of stuff.
movie. What's the guy who played Solo?
Alden
Ehrenreich.
Ehrenreich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was trash, but like Amelia Clarke and Woody Harrelson
Yeah, Woody Harrelson.
and Donald Glover,
Yeah.
like all those people saved it for me because their stories were far more interesting than Solo. Even
Yeah.
Chewbacca was more interesting.
Yeah.
You get to see how he saved
I mean,
them, and
Yeah.
I think it was Jonas Sotomo, something
Yeah,
like that.
Sotomo,
the,
yeah.
the name of the guy who's the new Chewbacca. I think he really
Jonas.
he really hit his stride in this movie.
Yeah.
And I think he's. I mean, like that's funny to say because it's a guy dressed up in a Wookiee costume, but at no point did I ever feel awkward about anything that he was doing. I think everything that he was doing was natural to what that character is.
Yeah.
it did feel
And-
like a younger
Yeah.
Chewie.
Yeah, he's only
did
190
great.
years old.
Yeah.
Great job standing up and shrugging his shoulders.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the thing, right? Like I really liked. I'm a Chewbacca fan, you
Yeah.
know, so like seeing him like kick ass was pretty awesome, you know,
Yeah.
and
To do it
obviously-
in that kind of a way, like we a really brutal
Yeah.
Chewbacca. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
never seen that before.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you know, damn, I'm gonna lose my Star Wars card, my Star Wars fan card.
Don't worry, I forgot who John Williams is.
But yeah, you know, past Chewbacca had, you know, he was. If you look at the movies, he didn't really do a whole lot. He was
Right.
just like Juan said, like just standing there and shrugging and laughing and shooting his bowcaster and
Right.
stuff, you know. But in this one, he was like jumping around, jumping on trains, picking people up, throwing them on
Yeah.
the ground. You know, like it was awesome. You know,
Yeah,
you
Saving
saw,
Lumpy.
yeah, lumpy, yeah, you know. So, I mean, you see a little bit of that in The Force Awakens, you know,
Sure.
towards the end when he's like mowing through those stormtroopers and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was okay. I mean, it was what I thought it would be, you know, just a fun, mindless Star Wars romp, you know. But one thing I thought when I was watching, I was like, man, this is like a good semi-fan service callbacks to like just random like
That's exactly
EU
true.
stuff, whatever, you know, like
They threw a lot in there for
Yeah.
hardcores too, for
Yeah.
sure.
Not to get too deep into this, what I'm about to say, but I think they're going to use it as a setup for, what is it, Jon Favreau's coming out with that $100 million 10
Yeah, this
episode thing.
streaming show.
oh yeah.
I think they're using that movie as a jump off for his show because from what I understand, it's going to be like on Mandalore, and throughout the whole time Maul was running that planet.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think that might be what they're doing because
Yeah.
they've halted everything else.
Right. Well, yeah, they haven't announced whatever the next project
That's
is
just
after
my
9.
that's just my conspiracy theory for it.
Yeah. Even as of
Remains to be
today.
seen. Yeah.
Yeah, as of today, I mean, I just saw a headline. I didn't read the article, just like most people. Ewan McGregor said that there's no truth to the Obi-Wan movie.
Right,
So, yeah,
right.
I mean, who knows what they're doing now. But, yeah, I think that's what I thought, too, is like this could be potentially setting up, like, the underworld kind of, you know, Star Wars movies or series or whatever, you know, getting people used to that, you know, stories of these, you know, gangsters or whatever
Sure.
that are not related to Jedi. It's more just, you know,
I really loved that reveal in that movie. It was
yeah.
I thought for the time period and the way that it was executed, I think it was executed really well. I think the choice of character in that role was perfect, especially not from just like a chronological standpoint, but from the mindset of like what could be or what has been kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like it's interesting to see what's happened to Maul after Clone Wars and before he gets got. Spoiler alert in Rebels.
Yeah.
Before he dies for a second time.
Yeah.
I also feel like we're sponsored by Disney, but it's just because they make every movie
Just
that
make
comes out.
everything, Yeah, exactly.
But go see Ewan McGregor and Christopher Robin.
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna stick my flag in that. Those animals were so damn cute.
So cute.
You saw it
Yeah,
yesterday or
last
this past?
night.
Yeah. It's good.
There was a very provocative, what I thought to be a Winnie the Pooh blowjob in the movie, but he was just eating honey off a plate, making sounds.
Did he say this is what good pussy sounds like?
Yeah, but he wasn't wearing pants, so who knows?
Pussy sounds like. Christopher
I always thought
Robin.
him and Piglet
This
had a
is
thing.
what good pussy
Him and
sounds
who?
like.
Piglet.
Piglet.
Oh yeah, Piglet's a boy. Just throwing that out there.
It's pink, though.
Yeah.
It's all pink on the
Well,
inside.
I mean, that goes in line with like Disney's. Remember back in the day, they were like, "Oh, there's all these sex messages in Disney movies."
Like
That's
this.
because there was. That's because there were dicks in The Little Mermaid. Look at your Go back home and look at your VHS
Yeah.
tapes. It's there.
I swear to God, I watched this and I'm in the movie theater. I'm like, that looks like Winnie the Pooh is giving Christopher Robin a blowjob. He's on the table with his pantsless ass hanging out, and you hear, and then it shows his lips on the plate. You're like, what the fuck is going on here? I didn't know Winnie the Pooh had lips,
Oh my
but he was
God.
opening his mouth. It was fucking weird.
It's like that scene in Fight Club when they show the frame of porn and then all the kids start crying and the parents are like uncomfortable. Like,
But I'll get off that because we've been on Disney's dick all day.
It's true.
yeah. So any other movies that you guys saw that?
Yeah, my moment of the summer. I'm gonna throw this out there. I got to see Blind Spotting. I've heard really great things.
Your boy David Diggs.
David Diggs. We saw him at Shoebaz one time.
Mm-hmm.
He raps really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then Black Klansman. I gotta see
I gotta see
that.
that.
Yeah.
it looks good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Sorry to Bother You.
Yeah, I gotta
Was-
watch that.
Sorry to Bother You was what appears to be a, black man living in America trying to get a job. Turns into this crazy sci-fi movie by the end.
Oh,
and you're
really?
like,
Wow.
holy
All right.
fuck!
Oh,
What?
crap.
I won't spoil that one like
Yeah.
I did Ant-Man and the Wasp. But it takes this twist where you're like, oh, he's using his white voice. He's going to do this. And then it goes like into slavery and like into modern day and what's happening in social medias.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, that kind of stuff. Okay, got it. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
then
yeah.
it goes,
Yeah.
so like it's that kind of like Black Mirror shit. And
Yeah.
then it goes off the deep end sci-fi by the end of it. Army Hammer, his
Oh my
character
God.
is amazing. But it's by the end of it, you're just like walking out with your jaw on the floor. You're like, what the fuck did I just see?
That's cool, man.
And you got to watch it again, 100%.
It's like a Michel Gondry film. You ever see his movies? No.
You did like what the hell? Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh,
yeah,
dude.
like that kind
the
of stuff.
science
yeah.
of sleep and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that one's. I didn't know that was his name, but man, that was a tough one to watch because I was like 15 trying to understand
Yeah,
that thing.
yeah.
I should probably rewatch
It's
it.
dense.
Yeah. Juan, any movies that you saw this summer that you were that you liked?
I'm like you though. I didn't watch that many.
Yeah.
Bright.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that. It was yeah.
Bright
Whatever.
came out at Christmas.
Okay, whatever. Yeah.
Doesn't mean I couldn't watch it in the summer.
It came out on Christmas Day. I was watching it in my bed. I know that.
I did
Yeah,
like
I
Ant-Man.
I was like, I don't know why people don't like this movie. It's good.
I know what you do in your bed.
I just really like Bright, all right?
Right.
No, but I watched Akira this summer, and that was tough to watch. What's another movie? I finally watched Predator for the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
The original Predator?
and I brought this up with Leo earlier. I
You
still
gotta watch Predator 2.
I need to, yes, but I still to this day get LeVar Burton and Carl Weathers confused.
How?
I was telling him there's an episode of Community, and LeVar Burton is in it. And I'm like, oh man, Carl Weathers from Arrested Development? I don't know. It's just my.
You got yourself a stool.
But then I'm like, oh look, that's LeVar Burton's looking great in Rocky today.
One of the most homoerotic shots in the history of cinema is Carl Weathers and Arnold when they finally say hi to each other
Oh,
again.
yeah.
Son of a
It's just
bitch.
like a 5-second shot of just their oiled, rippling muscle. It's like the noise making
Best
man like
handshake ever. You son of a bitch.
they raw
The
dogged it
most
hard
homoerotic
that
thing
night.
is the volleyball scene in Top Gun. Just watched it this morning.
Yeah, we did watch that this morning.
I had to stop watching that scene just because I was
Oh, shit. What the hell?
wondering.
Said that
Started
was like your
questioning
cat.
I don't have a cat.
And whose kitty litter they shitted?
Yeah, I don't know. I saw movies this summer, but it's related to the last topic, so
Yeah.
I'll save it. But
I think the one that I ended up seeing last night. Literally, it was. I know Juan, you didn't really dig this one, but I saw it
I
last
don't think I
night.
dig any movie.
I was gonna say I don't know the last one.
The last
Did you
movie-
like Infinity War?
He likes.
Yeah, the last
like-
movie Juan liked came out in 1990.
It was
He likes-
Lion King.
He likes
Oh.
Randy Newman.
No, it was what is it? Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai. Juan really liked that
It was
movie.
good.
He's got a Tom Cruise fetish.
I got a katana.
Is
That's all he
I
does.
watched last night. I watched Annihilation, and I have
Oh, I saw
I
that,
have
yeah.
I have certain issues with it, but overall, I like the direction the movie was being taken in. I thought it was weird that there was these offshoots about Natalie Portman's character having an affair, and then nothing ever develops from it. I
yeah.
think they're in there to kind of humanize the character a little bit more, but it's just very abrupt flashbacks that kind of come out of nowhere and then don't really go anywhere as well. But I think visually, is Alex Garland's second major motion picture, the look of it was good, and I got a strong. Let me know if you got this too, but like
I've
it
not watched
reminded
this
me
one.
of watching to a certain extent like 2001: A Space Odyssey,
Yeah.
because like you have a character that's experiencing a similar kind of event where they're being put in a situation where they're understanding their aspect of reality, and then something from who knows where, that is who knows how many years old or what even it is reshaping that reality in front of them, and they're trying to cope with it and fight against it, or struggle with the fact that maybe they can't fight against it and they have to embrace it or something like
Yeah.
that. It's a weird movie, but I thought there were just these moments in there where I'm just like, I was really blown away by some of the visuals and the way that it was presented, with the kind of music that was put into certain scenes, and just like the visual shots of just like wide shots of this weird landscape that is Earth, but it's a part of Earth that is evolving into something else that is alien. And I thought that was really cool, and it was really unique, and the performances were actually, I mean, Natalie Portman's great. The one that actually surprised me, because I thought I wouldn't like her, was the girl from the WGN show.
Gina
CW?
Rodriguez?
Gina
Yeah.
Rodriguez. She was surprisingly very good in that movie,
Yeah.
and died a horrible, awesome death, which
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah.
She had a really gruesome death, which was really cool.
Yeah.
The film is brutal, but it's also pretty beautiful. I have some issues with the story here and there, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a homeboy Oscar Isaac is I'm good and shit.
Oh, we know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's definitely got a different, or like kind of like an old school take of like sci-fi movies,
Yeah.
you know, which I like with Alex Garland. I think it's
There's a lot to be interpreted.
yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not being told a lot, you're being
Right.
shown a lot, and
Yeah.
it's like, I like that aspect of
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it's a very different approach to science fiction, where everything is kind of presented in front of you, and then a story kind of unfolds, where it's like, this is like you're experiencing it and you're asking the same kind of questions that the character is, so you're being put in that space of like, what the fuck is going on, because Natalie Portman is also like, what the fuck is going on kind
Yeah.
of thing, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then it also has an ending that is, apparently Alex Garland likes these like semi open-ended endings where
Oh, yeah.
it's another Ex Machina type of ending, where it's like, okay, now what happens?
Yeah.
Like, this thing is out now, so now what happens?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very open-ended. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean yeah, so I think overall, honestly, like summer was kind of, there weren't that many movies throughout the whole summer that were like, oh man, I got to go see that movie. I got to see that movie, you know? Like
mean,
it seemed like a lot of it was
at least
front
two.
end. Yeah.
I saw Infinity War, Deadpool, Solo, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Sorry to Bother You. So 5 movies. And then last night, the Pooh Bear, Christopher Robin,
Yeah.
Tinder story.
I mean, I joke about it, but I do really think that this Incredibles 2 was amazing.
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't see
that's
that one.
Incredibles
It
2.
was awesome. I think Brad Bird returning to that franchise after 10 years and then writing and directing it. Just, I mean, like coming off of Tomorrowland, which was a total piece of shit. I never watched
Yeah.
it, but like everybody
Didn't do
just
well.
just rails on it, how it's like a horrible piece of shit, and he admits that it got away from him. So he went from that. That was his last movie. And then he came and did a second Incredibles movie, and it was amazing, and it was so well done.
Yeah.
Bob Odenkirk is great in it. Like,
You got to get off Disney's dick, man.
Yeah.
I just really like The Incredibles.
Yeah. Jurassic Park came out too. I didn't see
see
that
that
at
I
all.
don't care for
Yeah.
it.
I think that's
just
for like a
looked like-
younger audience sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
The same
It looked like
movie.
the same number 2 as
Yeah.
they did 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't look.
He's lost.
Yeah.
It's fine.
He's back in the city again.
Oh no, dinosaurs.
Yeah.
He's on Broadway.
I mean, I'm gonna watch it when it comes out.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't go to the theater to see it.
Yeah. So, yeah, one of our last topics. Speaking of things that you could watch at home, TV shows. So something we came up with earlier today, just a topic that Brian brought up of, there's so many TV shows. A lot of them go many years, whatever. There's a lot to watch, but sometimes you don't finish them. You start them and then you just kind of fall off or whatever. And yeah, Brian, what was the one? So the idea is TV shows that you'd never finished,
So
but you were deep into, but you
I
never.
have to
stopped.
preface it with I have watched 13 seasons of Supernatural and haven't missed an episode. And they're coming out with season 14 in 2 months, and I'm going to watch it. But I couldn't get through the last 2 episodes of Westworld. I couldn't get through the last 2 episodes of Legion. I started Jessica Jones. I started Luke Cage. And I've just gotten stuck on all these TV shows. Even the animes that I watch. I'll get 2 seasons out of 3 in where they're set on 40 episode arcs or something.
Yeah.
And I can't finish those. Rory Kenshin, I can't even pronounce it. But I've got a bad habit of getting so close to finishing and not being able to do it.
Yeah.
Sounds like a personal problem.
It is.
I've finished watching season 1 and 2 of Jessica Jones, but I haven't finished watching season 2 of Daredevil.
Yeah.
So you grinded through Jessica Jones.
I really wanted to see what happens with her mom. I was really
Did you think they were gonna
intrigued.
make out at the end? Or?
I wanted to patch it back up.
That's the most wild shit I've ever heard.
It's
I can't get through Daredevil. though.
It's sadistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mainly the girl who cries all the time in Daredevil. The girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
Electra?
Yeah.
She's like a poor man's Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
We'll hire her, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, there's 2 standouts. I brought this one up earlier. I am a big fan of Lost. I like a lot of the things that Damon Lindelof and J.J. Abrams did in that show, and I think, in retrospect, I think overall it's important for the current era of television because that was kind of the beginning of modern day genre shows. If this one didn't hit, it might have been a longer time before we start to get Netflix kind of Marvel shows, or even the CW kind of Arrowverse thing taking over, and it's done extremely well on the CW and stuff too. But Lost was a big push of you can create this show that is technically for nerds from nerds, but it can have a really wide appeal and kind of thing. And I never saw the last episode. I haven't even watched the final episode of the final season.
Yeah.
So I've never finished Lost. I probably never will. I've never gotten to it. And then the other one was which I felt hard for in the first season, and to this day I still think it is one of the greatest single seasons of any television show ever. Was Heroes.
I was just thinking,
I couldn't finish it because it got so bad that it made
oh yeah.
it was like a bad relationship. I keep coming back to you,
Yeah,
girl,
it
but
was
you're no
bad.
good for me, so I got to cut you cold turkey, and that was it.
Yeah.
So by the midway through the 3rd season, I just I remember I was dating a girl at the time. She's like, I got all these episodes of Heroes now, and we can start catching up on them. I was like, I don't think I want to. I think I'm done with it. The first season was so great, and then the second season, understandably, the writer's strike hit, and that hurt it big time. That hurt it huge. And the story just took really weird turns, and people who didn't have powers, that were normal people, all of a sudden had powers, and they were stronger than the heroes that were born with powers, and it was just it was just too many. They didn't know where they wanted to go. The show lost its identity, and I just fell off of it hard, and it had 4 seasons overall, and I have no idea what happened.
Yeah, I think same. I never finished watching the final season. That was a show that
The first season's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
I never saw it on when it was airing, but I just bought the DVD on a whim, whatever, and I
He
tried to.
still watches DVDs.
It's a long time ago, but yeah, like I watched. I think I watched that show like within 2 days, and like like staying up late and was up till like 5 o'clock in the morning watching it. You know, 'cause it was great.
They were masters of like the final scene just always being a what the fuck happened twist.
Yeah.
And you just being like, you just grabbing the back of your head like, what did I just see? What's gonna happen next? And like
When it was a new thing.
yeah, they were so good at those twists, and then they were just bad.
Yeah.
It just got bad.
Yeah.
Another one that I didn't finish, and this might hurt your feelings, is Riverdale. Holy fuck, that's a terrible show.
You know, I guess you have to take it in a certain direction. I always take it with a grain of salt, as like it is a comic book come to life, and it is over the top and goofy, and I really like the story for that reason.
I've watched almost every single episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, so there's that.
Is that you voluntarily?
Yeah, that show's
Susan.
addicting.
Right. Guilty pleasure. There's nothing wrong
Scott
with that.
Disick's the man.
Yeah. The only shows I finish now are whatever my girlfriend's watching. So I've seen like West Wing like full season like 3 times. Glow, like you know, like not a lot of the Netflix stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, my thing is like I can't start shows. Like I watched the first episode of Game of Thrones. Fell asleep. Never tried to watch it again.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
How do
Get
you
out of my
fall
house.
asleep? That's actually one show where
Dude, it's so
that
addicting.
is like to Juan's point, like that for me actually bucks the trend of most other shows that I've ever been into.
Yeah.
Where it's like I give most shows at least a 3 maybe 4 episode grace period.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because most shows you have to understand them and you have to get into them.
Right.
If they don't hit it by that 4th one, then I don't really bother with it. Most of the time. There's some exceptions. But like that show was still the only show for me where after the first, I've never been so into a show after 1 episode.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. Well, and then
once he catches the brother and sister fucking and then he falls out the thing, I'm like, what is this thing?
See, I didn't
What
get
is
that
this
far.
show?
That's the
Fell
end of the
asleep.
episode, but man.
I know. Yeah.
And
The
Wow.
end of the
Yo.
first episode.
It's funny because like all the shows I do end up watching, I always stop watching them because then they just get really bad.
The first episode of the podcast and the last because you're uninvited
Yes.
and you have the equipment. So I guess
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
a good
yeah.
run, guys. It was a good run.
Yeah. But yeah, so never start them and never finished Walking Dead.
Oh, you can't finish
Yeah,
that
it's
because
hard.
it's a
you
piece
know,
of shit.
yeah, I keep fighting the good
I
fight,
got
but
tired of watching 20 minutes of
Yeah.
A Lonely Road.
And it was like the one show
like Johnny Cash type
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
even when I like
You can't polish a turd, man.
I know exactly, yeah, and like that's a show like even my family would like get together and watch it every Sunday, and the first episode was amazing. I was like, oh my god, this is great because I read the books and always thought, man, it's gonna be a great show if they
Season
ever
1.
make it. Yeah,
Season 1's
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah.
Season
Anything
1's great.
after that, shit.
And then season 2 takes a giant shit and doesn't go anywhere. You stick stuck on a farm for the
Yeah.
entire time.
Yeah.
It's boring.
but then like 2 and 3 are good. Then 5 is like, and then 6,
Guess we
and
gotta
then
start all over
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
This
exactly.
is our
this,
new home.
This last season, at least for me, was finally like a return to form. I think this
Oh,
last
really?
season
Yeah.
was the best season they've had since the first one. But I
Wow.
think they finally learned from their mistakes, and every episode there was no filler. It was something that was
Well, that's
moving. Everything was happening. I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan also helps that too. He's a really dynamic he's a good actor, and that's a very good character to put in there.
Yeah.
It's the similar kind of Thanos aspect of it, right? Too. It's like, you know, people are a resource, kind of.
yeah.
When you start to justify a villain's means, then it makes them more interesting and more complex. But
This is just a
it's
personal question between you guys. I know you and you. It's more a question
For
towards
me,
you.
yeah.
Do you watch Doctor Who?
No. I've seen the old shows, but I never. I saw a couple of the first one, but dude, I don't watch a lot of shows for whatever reason.
Oh man,
I watch movies more.
that's a good one. I
it's
mean,
amazing.
that actually isn't. Now that you bring it up, that's another one for me that I haven't gotten back into.
Yeah.
Another show I haven't finished or watched, Doctor Who. I haven't watched it.
But do you ever watch any of the old school ones?
No,
No.
Yeah, those are hard to
that's-
watch, man. That's why I
You
haven't started
can't
on
do that.
it. Where do I start then? Season 10?
The
No,
modern
they've
series.
They've rebooted it. It's called Series 1. but you can go back and watch like the 1950 version.
Yeah.
The modern series technically starts in 2006. Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah.
Christopher Eccleston goes into what's his name? David Tennant.
Oh, Tenet. Yeah.
Tennant
Matt
goes into
Smith.
Matt Smith. Matt Smith goes into Peter Capaldi. Capaldi goes into the new one that I can't remember her name. The first female doctor.
Meryl Streep.
The 13th Doctor.
Meryl Streep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know where to go from here.
I mean,
Sorry.
I guess like we kind of talked about, if we want to bring up, this is a part of the I think we can just kind of start to talk a little bit about like one thing that we're really into either this month or the last couple of weeks or this
Yeah.
week.
So I'll just note. I'll just edit that last part there.
There you go.
So yeah. So last topic. Just move on to the last topic. We'll just go around the table one time. It's a segment we'll call, I don't know, what are you on? I don't know, something like that.
What are you on?
We're gonna call it. I don't know.
Bath
What are you on?
salts.
I don't know, what are you on? Or what?
Also on
Yeah,
some
bath
Molly.
salts. I'm on bath salts. I don't do drugs,
Mm-hmm.
just weed.
Hard drugs.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, yeah, Joey, this is your
Yeah,
Yeah,
topic.
I just kind of
Just
wanted to. I kind of wanted to bring it up. Is just like a peek into everybody else's mind. Like,
Yeah.
what is something that you're kind of particularly enthralled with right now,
Yeah.
or captivated your attention that you didn't expect to captivate your attention?
Yeah,
Something
totally.
that you're really kind of really into and really happy to be into right now. For me, I had explained it a little bit earlier, but basically for the last like maybe month or so, I was getting more into an anime kick because I haven't caught up on any anime, with the exception of DB Super, but that's different.
Tentacle porn?
That's Brian Sauer. And I made sure
Last
that
name, man. Come on.
I know.
skirt.
Not the full name. Not the full name, dude.
Government name.
Juan,
Everything, man.
Juan gave his full name earlier.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you did.
Gotta go back and edit
Anyway,
that.
so yeah,
So trying to get back into catching anime that's not Dragon Ball. So I caught up and watched Attack on Titan. I wanted to catch some of the big ones that were making waves in the anime world. I enjoyed Attack on Titan. I really like some aspects of it. Other aspects I think are too bizarre for me, at least. And God, I think the second season has the worst opening intro that I've ever seen in any show. It's awful. It's terrible. Like the whole sequence, like the animation of it, what's being shown, and just the music is fucking terrible. But the show overall is really solid. I don't understand how it's as super popular as it is, but I enjoyed it. The one that I followed up with after that, I'm like, okay, what's another big one that people are into, and I want to kind of understand why they're into it, was My Hero Academia. And I went into it not really knowing what to expect, almost kind of like even more so than I did with Attack on Titan, being ready to kind of dismiss it already, is being maybe too goofy for me. I'm like, this might not be for me. It's excellent. It is really, really, really good. I understand where a lot of this comes from. To give it a little bit more of an added context and kind of why I dig it. So this My Hero Academia is a Japanese superhero series that's based off of a really long-running manga. I think it has like 15 or 20 volumes or something like that. But it's been around a long time as far as a manga form. They're in their third season now. That's currently airing. But basically, it follows this kid, Izuku Midoriya, in a version of Earth where 80% of the people on Earth actually have a superpower. So only 20% of people don't have an ability anymore. And it's kind of been a part of human evolution. He cites it as like one day a couple hundred years ago, there was a child that was born that had a glow and had the first superpowered human. From then on, it became normal. So the weirdos were kids that don't have superpowers. This kid grew up a total fanboy, loving superheroes, couldn't wait until his power manifested. When he was about 4 years old, he went in for a physical, and the doctor told him flat out, you got nothing. Like, you will never be a superhero. You have they call them quirks. Like, you don't have a quirk. His father did have a quirk. His mother did have a quirk, so he thought that he would have a quirk. Didn't have one. And then it kind of takes off from there. So he does a heroic act without having a quirk, gets recruited by his favorite superhero, which is the Superman type of character that's in this show, the one that can do all of it, is like the shining example of justice and truth, is big and broad and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And then it kind of follows his story, and he narrates it at the beginning and basically is telling it from his perspective as an older man, basically saying, like, this is the story of how I end up becoming the greatest hero of all time. So a kid that came from literally nothing, and it's really cool because it also not only just peeks into it's not just this cool story about these superheroes and stuff like that, but it delves into a world where superpowers are the norm, so much so that every superhero like gets paid a certain rate depending on what their quirk is, and what their and how they market themselves, and they can get sponsored. Not only do they get sponsored, but in order to really develop your career, just like as you do in normal society, you go to a university. The better your superhero university, the more likely you are to become a successful hero as a profession as you get older and progress into old age and kind of stuff like that. So it's this really unique take on the Japanese archetype of like what a superhero is, with a lot of influences from a lot of American superheroes that you can kind of see sprinkled in there. Like I said, with the Superman stuff, with this character's name is All Might, who that is the Superman. His name is All Might.
Sounds like Inhumans.
It does, except it's awesome and humans is
This is
shit.
good.
Except it lasted more than one season. But the closest thing that I can say to it is like it's an anime take on kind of like X-Men First Class, because now you're not only just following this kid, but you're following him right at the beginning when he's going into his first year of high school at
Shit, bullies.
basically, and all these other kids who are better than him, who've been born with their powers, know how to use them, and he's still figuring it out. And so he's so powerful that if he does anything, if he throws a punch, his entire arm shatters because he doesn't know how to control how much power he has. So it's a slow progression of him learning and him kind of progressing, and all these other kids progressing along with him, and they're all like misfits, and but they're all really, really powerful. And then the villains they're starting to reveal in the show are really great. I think it's awesome. If you're into superheroes, even if you're not into anime, I definitely recommend it. It's also really goofy and really fun. There's a lot of fan service moments that are like traditional anime fan service moments, like the pervy little kid in the high school who's always like doing something pervy, trying to do upskirts and like convincing girls like, yeah, you're supposed to wear a cheerleader uniform for this next one. I don't know, like kind of thing. It's really, really fun. Yeah.
What was the name again?
My Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
Have to check it out.
It's on Hulu. So if you want to watch the first 2 seasons dubbed, it's on Hulu. The 3rd season is subtitled, but I don't watch subtitles at home. That's for movie theaters because I got shit to do at home. But can't pay attention to subtitles at home.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, that sounds cool. I
So-
mean, I'd probably check it out and not finish it.
I guarantee you finish it. I guarantee it.
I feel like we just watched the whole season listening to Joey talk about
That's like
I fell asleep.
trust me, there's
that's cool.
so much more in the
No.
in the show. It's really dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One.
Michael B. Jordan loves himself some My Hero Academia.
Nice.
The Human Torch,
Human Torch
You know, he
himself?
designed his costume after
Vegeta.
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 Yeah, he's a huge anime guy. Yeah.
Well, I'm currently on nothing really. Just searching for my NECAs. My Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle NECA figures that are so hard to find. Tried buying them when they first got released. I had it in my cart and everything ready to buy. Then she just disappeared.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I even had my brother looking for some. My brother's fiance. Joey was even on it.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't land them.
So you had them in your cart. And then
Yeah,
they
to
just,
buy them on their first release for that San Diego Comic Con.
They were gone in
NECA was
seconds.
doing. Yeah, they were gone right away, like in
Damn.
a flash. And now on the secondary market, from $100, they are now like $500. So
Damn.
I was on it. Now I'm off it. because I don't want to spend $500 on them.
Yeah, for people that don't know, you're a huge
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles
For
fan.
those 2 people are gonna hear this podcast.
So Ted, if you're listening, you should know.
Eunice.
Ted and Eunice.
Ted and Eunice.
Shout out to Ted.
Shout out to Ted.
And us four
Shout out
want to
to
really
Idris.
listen. Hey, remember when I said that funny
Yeah.
thing? Yeah.
We're-
1 minute is. Hey,
Shout
hey,
out to
Leo.
Juan.
when
Hey,
this
Leo, when did I do that Tom Cruise impersonation?
when the show really
Roommate
takes off,
Steve.
we'll start taking questions from our fans. Which
Yeah,
means
mailbag. Yeah.
Ted.
But yeah, I saw those NECAs and I thought of you. I was like, oh, I'm sure Juan would like this. But then I never.
They're in his living room. He
I
looks
know.
at them every day.
Just playing with them.
I had him. I had like 5 of them in my cart, and I was like, ah, fuck it, no one. He's got them. He's got them.
Yeah.
I
That was
sold
my
them.
obsession for the month, but also really obsessed with rewatching The Office.
Nice.
It's been nonstop. For like,
Yeah, I can
3
go in
weeks.
on that one too.
Watch it at work too.
Yeah, we put it on the smart TV in the locker room.
Yeah.
All the guys watch it.
Like, whose idea was this? Oh, the bros. Like, me.
All the bros.
Yeah.
You guys work for like a wrestling outfit or something? All the
Yeah.
bros. Nice. In the
No,
locker room.
Work at a
Laundromat.
frat house.
Laundromat.
A frat house. Yeah. So you're same
I'll
office.
say The Office, but I mean like, I won't go into, season by season, but
Yeah.
how the hell did they make that
Yeah.
show?
It would
There's
not be
so
able to
many-
air today.
There's so many snowflakes today.
Yeah.
You
Soft
couldn't
people.
make that show, and it's only
Yeah.
been off air for 5 years.
Yeah.
Like how times have changed. Because the second, what's the one where they're holding the cards over their head?
Yeah.
They're
The
describing him.
racist-
He's like, "Am I a
Diversity
woman?"
Day. or something. Yeah.
Diversity Day. Yeah.
Feels like it's been off longer because the last season was terrible.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's not the last season. It's the 8th season.
Yeah. Last season was
9th
decent.
season's okay.
It's good. Yeah.
What's the 8th season then? When they introduce all those new people?
It was like right after Michael Scott
Michael Scott
leaves.
left?
But then
And
also Will
Robert-
Ferrell came in.
Robert California, who it took me, there's 24 episodes
Oh,
in that
yeah.
season. It took me until episode 22 to realize James Spader is Ultron.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm like, where the fuck's this guy's voice from? Oh, it's Ultron. But yeah, no, I just started season 9 last night, and I'm gonna bust out those 20 episodes. I will finish this finally. It's the first time watching season 8 and 9,
Nice.
but it's fantastic. Just the pranks. I love watching Jim and Pam.
Yeah.
And
So cute.
was it Kelly and
So
Ryan?
cute.
God, it's amazing. It's just such a perfectly written show too.
It's also fun watching it and then saying who's who at the office at work. So Leo is
Kevin.
no
Oh, I like cookies.
Oscar. You're Oscar.
Oscar.
Of course.
Well, that's
The only
Makes
Mexican
sense.
there. Yeah.
I really hope I'm Stanley.
Did I stutter?
No,
Nice.
but I would say the past month has been nothing but Fortnite for me.
Oh yeah.
And I know you two do not play, but Jesus, man, it is so addicting. Dropping in off that bus, and there's not much of a story, but get on Reddit sometimes, read the lore that goes on in the PvP mode.
Yeah.
How the environment changes around you, which creates this story that the writers at Epic have built, where this lost traveler is trying to get back home, and he shoots a rocket off, and they have countdown clocks going on, and all of a sudden the World Cup's happening. They just put a stadium in the game, and you can buy skins that are soccer influenced.
Yeah. That's cool.
Even though I've never won a solo game, and I've had people carry me to victories in the squad,
Yeah.
it's just a perfect game. And for $10, you get the battle pass. You can focus on getting better. It's literally become an addiction. I can't get enough
Well,
of
it's
it.
the biggest game out there right now, so
Yeah.
yeah.
It's phenomenal.
And I'm hoping it never goes away, because I got way too invested in Pokemon and Beanie Babies, and I don't want Fortnite to go down that same
Beanie
road.
Babies.
That was just last year, both of them.
You didn't get Beanie Babies?
No.
Fuck.
He just busted in with an armful of Beanie Babies like Rick in that episode about the
Oh, yeah.
Nintendo DS's. Everyone, quick!
There's this new thing.
I also have been rewatching some Rick and Morty episodes
Yeah,
and
season-
realizing season 3 is perfect.
Season 3
Yeah.
is amazing.
Nice. Nice.
What have you been up to, Leo?
How about you, host?
So for me,
That's all the time we have, guys.
So that's it. Actually, we're out of time. This hour show is now 90 minutes.
Here's where the twist comes in. He starts talking about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Game of Thrones. Actually,
Just kidding, suckers.
I've
I've already watched the final season.
I've been watching Days of Our Lives, all 40 seasons.
Golden Girls.
Yeah. No, yeah. So I've been on Star Trek, the other Star franchise. Yeah, I just been on Star Trek, man. Started with Star Trek Discovery. Mostly it's because of that. Been toying with the idea of making a video essay about how Star Trek brought me back to Star Trek. I used to watch it when I was a kid. My dad, my brother used to be into it or are into it, whatever. And just the show brought me back. And then when you get back to the show, then you want to go back and look at all the old shows. They're all on Netflix now for free. Well, on Netflix.
Right.
They have a ton of free-to-play games, which for me, we've talked about this, Joey. For me, video games is a huge part of my fandom in general.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I didn't really read a lot of comic books. I didn't, do all that, but I played all the video games. So for me, it's video games.
Did you play the Walking Dead video games?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I figured you did.
Yeah. So they have a ton of free-to-play games. I've been buying some of the figures, so really getting into it. I like it. I mean, it's just, I don't know, there's a ton of lore. If you're into lore, it's all there. Yeah, aliens, ships. I love the ships. What else about it? Yeah, and when you read about, for me in general, in the past, I was doing film and I got into film, and one of my influences was George Romero, and his stuff was always a little message. So same with Gene Roddenberry and Star Trek, there was always a message, even back when in 1960s, and watch some of those shows today, and it's like he's talking about what's happening today, in our political climate and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's good. I signed up for Starz free preview or whatever just to watch Star Trek 6: The Undiscovered Country.
Starz, the
movie channel. Yeah, on through Amazon.
Watch Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
That's another show I started watching and didn't finish.
Isn't it on Netflix or Hulu or something?
It's on
Yeah, it's
Netflix, yeah.
But it's a Starz program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Starz program.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think I have 2 days to watch it.
I have the American Gods. It was one of the next ones
Yeah.
that's on me. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's the Neil Gaiman's thing, and it's apparently it's been good.
Yeah.
You don't even have to watch the Evil Dead series to appreciate what's going on in Ash vs. Evil Dead. So, recommendation.
No, for sure, yeah. I've seen a couple
Word.
episodes. But yeah, Star Trek, really into it. I obviously highly recommend it. But yeah. Again, the games are good. They have a free-to-play MMO. They have a free-to-play collectible card game online. They have another free-to-play mobile game that's kind of like an RPG. So, yeah, really into that right now.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Way to go.
Just noting that because we're going to edit this part.
Juan saying good for you.
No, because I didn't know where to go from there.
Gotcha.
You need to add
Yeah.
one more thing before it ends.
Yeah. All right, so
penis.
yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
I knew, Juan, you were going to bring one thing to this,
Penis.
and it was a random one-liner.
Penis. So yeah, but besides Star Trek, also really into old wrestling for whatever reason right now.
I'm into it every day.
Yeah,
Every year.
exactly.
Ooh,
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. Austin
Austin
316. I was
I
watching
mean, Greco-Roman,
no, sports
like
entertainment
ancient
wrestling. Sports entertainment WWF. It's always going to be WWF to me, not
Take that,
WWE.
you stupid little panda.
Take that, pandas. Yeah, wrestling.
I just want to see Stone Cold.
Stutter a panda. Just have him just totally just bust into an animal preserve.
Yeah.
It's it's a Texas rattlesnake. Beat the shit out of some pandas while he's drinking Coors Light, smashing them together.
Stun a
Man.
bunch of animals.
Too bad Steve Irwin's not there to catch the Texas rattlesnake.
Shout out. Rest
Sorry,
in peace,
guys.
Steve Irwin. Yeah. What was the other thing? One thing is Latino comics, but that's a topic for another show because we're gonna wrap this up.
Yeah.
Do
But
I have
yeah.
to read those?
Yeah, you do.
Oh.
They're in English. It's okay.
I also want to hear everybody else judge me about being excited for the DC streaming service. So that's for the next
Oh, yeah.
episode.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
You get to watch
Fuck.
Batman vs Superman whenever you want. Over and over again.
And it begins.
Yeah, there you go.
Martha?
Yeah.
Whoa. Your name is Martha. My name's Martha. So is mine.
Your mom's.
Let's be friends. Want to be friends? Okay.
It's gonna.
To be fair, I like that movie too. So
I actually really like Batman vs.
What's
Superman.
gonna suck is Batman vs Superman is gonna. Well, I should say it this way: Godzilla vs King Kong, when that comes out next year, is going to be the exact same storyline
I know.
as Batman vs Superman.
your mom's Mothra too.
I mean, I think that's another one that we had to bring up with some of the. We should talk about some of the trailers that came out of Comic-Con because that Godzilla
Oh,
one was
yeah.
surprisingly awesome.
It was awesome, yeah.
Surprisingly
Very
awesome.
impressive, yeah. Yeah, it was really good.
You saying Mothra is so.
Mothra.
Penis.
All right. Yeah, I didn't say this before, but yeah, so we're just gonna wrap it up. So thanks for everyone for watching. But before we leave,
Listening, bro.
or yeah, I didn't bring this up, but I would like to dedicate this. I was gonna say issue 1, episode 1 to our boy John Schnepp.
Yeah, man.
John Schnepp.
John Schnepp, King Sweaty, rest in
Yeah.
peace. Went way before his time.
Good man.
Yeah, he's the reason.
That I watched Collider.
Same here.
If for anybody who hasn't watched it, also you need to watch The Death of Superman Lives. It's amazing.
Haven't seen it yet, but yeah.
It is an amazing documentary. He did such a great job with it. Yeah, we lost
So
we lost a big guy.
No, but yeah, I feel like he was a important figure in the fandom, because he was always about like wearing your nerd fandom on your sleeve, which I feel like we already did anyway, but even
Freak flag fly.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I feel like we did it anyway, but even more so now. I feel like I'm doing it a little bit more than I used to.
Yeah, I think it's especially relevant now with a lot of stuff in popular culture and within nerd culture in general, how some aspects of certain things can be pretty hostile.
Yeah.
And Schnapp was always kind of a guy that found positivity and found like the good aspects of even something that was bad or something that was controversial. He always found something that was creatively good about anything that was being put out there, and with legitimate reason. A guy who really understood film because he was a filmmaker himself, and really championed a lot of people's other creative pursuits like that. So yeah, it's definitely going to be very well missed.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a great guy. Yeah, he's a great one.
Yeah, and just one last thing about that is like, I feel like just with the recent popular movies that came out, people were fighting online and had disagreements or whatever, and then they get personal, whatever. But I think doing a show like this is good, because we'll talk about how we didn't like something, but then we'll just laugh about it. But that's how it should be, like who cares if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine, but I liked it.
No.
Yeah, we're gonna have an Eeyore of the
Impose my
episode.
opinion on all you guys.
I'm really hooked on this Winnie the Pooh shit.
Like, I'm starting to worry about you. You've been talking about Winnie the Pooh for like 5 months.
Yeah, you're gonna see me in Rosemont dressed up as Winnie the Pooh at the furry convention.
Giving blowjobs.
Yeah, can you stop tagging me on Winnie the Pooh fan theories? Thanks.
You're gonna be at
Winnie the Pooh blowjob.
you're gonna be at furry conventions licking plates.
Yeah, I'm just gonna soak people in honey.
Very good.
All
All right, well, we're right there on 90 minutes, so we'll end it there.
See Chris out.
So thanks for listening, everybody, and we're the Vulgar Observers, if you can already tell.
Peace.
Next time, Ted.